The theme in my art and my films, I would say, is freedom. I feel like for centuries now, Black Americans have been fighting for their freedom. I want to continue to create and break those barriers when it comes to being authentic and not being punished for authenticity, being able to be yourself and not be suspended because your hair looks a certain way. I want people to understand Black people so that Black people can finally feel free. And I think that through telling these stories, it opens up the pathway for education, for freedom, for understanding, and for empathy and compassion. And I think we need that. My name is Tamara S, and I am an award-winning filmmaker, an award-winning screenwriter, a poet, and a Meisner-trained actress. I am from North Philadelphia, born and raised, and I didn't spend all of my days in a playground. I spent a lot of my days writing in the house alone. I was very studious. I was always a student. I wanted to get out of the hood. Leaning on my gifts even early at that age was my way out. From winning a broadcast ESPN competition because I drew a girl who was playing basketball amongst other men, and the way that she won was because her fingernails were long enough to touch the rim. And so I always saw opportunities. I always saw the ability to lean on your God-given gifts, your God-given abilities. That was something that I leaned into. A lot of what informs my storytelling is my experience with pain and rejection at a very early age. My grandmother raised me. My mother, who was around, operated more so as a distant family member as opposed to a mother. And that was because at that time she was very young and she wasn't ready for children, which is the story of a lot of parents that have kids young, unfortunately. However, as a child, you don't understand that. For me, my escape was my stories. My escape was my writing. And me creating voices in my characters and me creating lives in my characters, I was able to humanize them and empathize with them. How I dealt with that pain and that rejection that early was creating a world where maybe this person is wrong, but maybe we get to show them and give them an opportunity to be right. We get to show them a different way. We get to open their eyes to different things. Even back then, I knew that in what I was creating, it allowed for me to empathize and understand people a little bit better because everyone deals with oppression very differently. For me, that helps a lot when it comes to the stories that I create now and the opportunities and the rejection I face now. I really feel like me having my heart broken at such a young age over and over and over again makes me extremely formidable. I think me facing such rejection like that so early in life created this monster, created this beast that's able to look at rejection in her face and tell her, you are not enough to defeat me. You are not enough to stop me. You know, I think for me, a big turning point was when the people closest to me started dying. There's nothing that can prepare you for that. Like, I just remember when my uncle was murdered, I just remember, like, I was the one that was tasked with making the phone calls, and I was only 11 years old. I was the one who had to call everybody in the family, and at that time, I didn't understand death. And so I didn't understand the weight of what I was doing. But as you can see, I remember it so vividly because it was something that I should have never had to do, something that nobody should ever have to do. Me being surrounded by so much death and darkness and loss so early in life, I wanted to find a way to give the people who are no longer here a voice. I wanted to find a way to resuscitate something that I feel like was robbed from their lives, their experiences, the experiences they didn't get to create for themselves. And I felt like storytelling was such a powerful way to do that. How do we create legacy? How do we create something that is going to be in the minds? Like, you know, when someone is murdered, especially when they're in an urban city, no one cares except the people, your family and the people that are in that city, but it's like they don't get the chance to create their legacy. The way I tell stories, and very creatively, I like to create genre-bending stories because I feel like if you cannot directly relate to this, you're going to be entertained by it. And by being entertained by it, it's going to pull you in enough to be able to understand and familiarize yourself with some of the experiences that other people have had to go through. And so I'm very, very unique and distinct with the way I tell stories, because I feel like I want to continue to inform and educate, but I want to do it in a way where people feel like they are still having a bit of fun and still being entertained. I spent 10 years working in the industry, in the business. I know firsthand the things that they look for. I know the conversations that are being had. I know how to talk the talk and walk the walk. And I think that when, filmmakers, especially those who have something to say, they have it. The thing that's missing is the business side of it, the business acumen, the professionalism, the ability to craft literally a strategic email that can enable a response. A response. Not a job, not an end goal, a response. I think people tend to forget that everything is in steps. People don't get to take the things that they have done or take the things that they're good at and create such great opportunities. And a lot of it is because of the lack of resources, but also because there is no one cheering them on, right? There is no one telling them that they can do it. And so I feel like using my platform is so important, because people need to know that what they want is attainable. People need to understand that where they want to go in life, the goals that they're trying to reach, is attainable. Because if a woman like myself from North Philly, North Philly with the F, woman from North Philly who was just a girl in the hood at the time, I didn't have access. I had to find access. I had to create access. And it was very difficult. I think that we are in an industry of gatekeeping, exclusivity. I think that we are in an industry of facade, and it does not bring fulfillment. It does not bring happiness. And I realize that the thing that makes me happiest is when I'm able to be of service to other people. You meet me, there is no such thing as failure, because failure is a made-up concept. Failure is just the step towards success. There is no such thing as you not being able to do something if you have the will to do it. And a lot of what it takes to be successful in this industry, outside of having a successful system in place, is your confidence and knowing how to be professional. You learn not just the tools, and you are the tools to be successful, but the attitude to be successful. When you adopt a winner's mindset, you're gonna win. Being in this industry, having the success that I've been able to create for myself, I realize that there are just some things that don't change, and there are just some things that really don't get better. You cannot change, for example, people's judgment of you. You can't force people to like you. You can't force people to like your art even, right? This is bigger than letting people into my life. This is about showing people, especially where I come from. I don't want to forget where I came from. I have nieces and nephews now, and they are so innocent. They are so opportunistic. Like, all they see is opportunity and love and hope. And I just want to help protect that as much as possible. And I want to show them, you can have the life you want to live despite the circumstances that you're in. I realized, Tamara, you could be doing more to provide opportunity, provide education, help to provide access, and to also show people that this can be reality. This is not just TV. This is something you can create for yourself, using some of the tools that I have been able to find for myself, using some of the formulas that I've created that has created success for me over and over and over again.